Hey guys, we're back. So the first two videos we covered just about every way we can propel ourselves through the air moving forwards, up to front flips. Now we start talking about our back flips. So backward rolls, both gymnastics style and wrestling style, through back extension rolls, back handsprings, and eventually back tucks. This should be a shorter set of videos, but it's a lot more complicated. So we'll get started with a simple backward roll to and from a butterfly, and it looks like this. So our main goal with these butterfly backward rolls is to keep them very practical for jiu-jitsu. We're using our hands to keep our head safe. We're bringing our ear to our shoulder the exact same way we did with the forward rolls, keeping that nice flat plane for ourselves to roll through. Keeps our head completely out of the equation, okay? The way we use our hands is a little bit funky on the butterfly roll. We're gonna kind of reach our hands over our head. So for a lot of our newer students or for children, we give a great focal reference, right? So we're talking about sitting in our butterfly, and I'm gonna pretend I'm holding a basketball in my hand, okay? As I roll back, I wanna continue to watch the basketball the whole time. So I have a basketball in my hand. I want to put the basketball on the mat right around here. I want to look at that basketball. Then I want to bring my feet to the ball, okay? So we lean back. I put the basketball on the ground. I bring my feet over my head to the ball. And then I just sit right back into my butterfly position, right? So a lot of people will tend to put that ball back, but they don't look at it and they find it really hard. Or they put the ball to one side and they look over the other side. Okay, so it's really important we focus on where that ball is, making sure we're looking at the ball, bringing our feet to the ball, and then we circle ourselves right back through. Very safe way to do our backward rolls, and essentially our head is off the mat the entire time. So as I roll, my head completely clears, and my head never touches the mat, right? As I roll through, my head never touches the mat. I'm up on my shoulder, and I pummel my way through, using our arms and legs effectively to keep ourselves safe. So that's a really basic butterfly kind of wrestling backward roll. Okay, so once we have that wrestling style backward roll done, going to and from a butterfly, we're looking to add a little bit of velocity, okay? So we're gonna try and bring ourselves from our butterfly up to our feet, right? It's kind of like a mini back extension roll, but we're keeping that same wrestling head position to keep our head safe. A little bit more active hands this time. I gotta push off the mat to elevate enough to get my feet to the mat. So we sit in our butterfly, right? I'm gonna lean back, I'm gonna push off the mat and push back to my feet, right? So again, we're sitting in our butterfly, I roll, and I push back into my wrestling stance, as always. Always starting from the ground as we get started. I'm gonna roll over my shoulder the same way. I'm gonna push with my hands up to my feet. Back into our wrestling stance. Next up is the gymnastics backward roll. So for our gymnastics backward roll, we're gonna start from our feet and land on our feet. Hand position is everything on these guys. I'm gonna reach my fingers back towards my head. In my roll, I'm looking to put my fingers back over my head so that my palms hit the mat like this, right? Once my palms hit the mat, I'm able to push my head and clear my head. I keep my head in a straight line on this one, and I push straight through, all right? Tight body, chin tucked to my chest, making a nice round back. That's gonna allow me to roll very smoothly, okay? So again, starting from the feet, ending on the feet for a gymnastics backward roll. We start from our feet, all right? We sit down nice and slow. My butt goes all the way to my heels, right? Really important here. So my butt to my heels, hands over the head. I push and clear, right? And I say my heels to my butt because as I sit down, if I sit my butt away from my heels, I've killed all my momentum for the roll, okay? I wanna keep that nice ball shape, so I sit as close as I can, and we roll well. Think about how we do a butterfly sweep, right? A butterfly sweep, we have a wide butterfly, a wide base for structure. When I want to elevate my opponent in backward roll, I scoop my butt in, and that allows me to roll. Same idea here, right? So it looks like this again. Our next step along that backward roll evolution is to do a back extension roll, okay? So we're looking at taking our backward roll up to a handstand and then stepping down from there. So our leg kip kind of momentum we did on our neck kip and our front handspring is super relevant here. As I roll back, I want to have my hands doing all the same work they were doing on the regular backward roll. But now I want to launch my feet up to the ceiling. As I pop my feet to the ceiling, I'm going to push my head up and clear myself up to a handstand. It'll be a momentary handstand. We're not going to try to hold that. We're going to rocket our way up and step down almost immediately. So that was our back extension roll. It's super important we learn how to back extension roll before we progress to back handsprings, simply because we have to have a nice strong structure so we can land on our hands, right? So as we do our back extension roll, we start adding more and more velocity. We start trying to get some elevation and kick our feet and kind of almost bounce back to our feet, right? So we're gonna add a little bit more power in this back extension roll, and we're gonna really pop ourselves to our feet, flicking our feet to the ground, getting a little bit of hang time. That motion is gonna help us get used to whipping down from our back handspring. The back handspring is a very simple technique, right? It's all mental, and it's all how we prepare ourselves. There are 3 fundamental steps to a back handspring. If we can nail those first 3 steps, the rest of the back handspring tends to just kind of flip itself. It sounds crazy, I know, but it's true. So the first 3 steps look like this. So step 1, our hands are out and ready for the flip, right? Nice and tight, everything's square. Step 2, we sit down and our arms swing down. So step 2, we're gonna sit in that chair and bring our arms down. This is our loading position. Step 3, we launch. So we go from prepare to load to launch. We swing our arms over our head and we jump, looking at our hands the entire time. We're gonna hold that basketball, right? That same kind of idea of holding that basketball and putting it on the ground, but I have to keep looking at it the whole time. Commitment is number 1 here. If you commit to the movement, your body will do it. Keeping ourselves tight, understanding from that last video that form is our friend, right? Form is not just to make our flips look pretty, it's the most efficient way to travel through the air. Really important, I squeeze my legs, make myself as thin as possible. Doing that back handspring through a narrow hallway, much like we did a front roll and a back roll through a narrow hallway. We go step 1, we prepare. Step 2, we load. Step 3, we launch. And it looks like this. Step 1, 2, 3. Nice and rigid the whole way through, making sure we're never losing sight of the fact that I'm jumping into a handstand. All right, arms are tight over my head, blocking through my shoulders, flipping to my feet. You guys can do it. I know you can do it. Start slow, work your way up. All right, here it is, the magnum opus, right? The last thing we do is our big dog. This is the trick that everybody wants to do, right? And that's the standing back tuck. Again, this one is all commitment dependent. If we can be committed and we can go for it, you will almost always be successful. The only reason back tucks fail is because we get scared, right? So we start our launch and we go, oh, I've messed up. Let's not do that. Stay committed, trust yourself, trust the technique. Back tucks become a race to clear your head. Once you clear your head, you'll land on your hands and your knees and you're pretty safe. Or you turn it into a super high back handspring. You go for that tuck, you go, oh, you put your hands down, put your feet down. And that's why learning that back handspring is so important. The back handspring becomes our way to bail. It's kind of our fail safe. So the same 3 steps are very important for our back tuck as our back handspring. That prepare, that load, and that launch, right? Step 1, step 2, step 3. The main difference is the angle of our launch. So when we do a back handspring, we tend to launch ourselves sitting on our heels and we're jumping backwards. A back handspring is a very long technique. We're looking to go one body length long for our back handspring. For a back tuck, the exact opposite happens. We're looking to stay almost in the exact same location. All that energy goes from going backwards to going up, and our body will always follow our hands. We talked about that early on in the videos. If my hands go to the ceiling, my body will follow, and then I can circle back to land my tuck. So make sure we stay committed. Make sure we trust the form and keep ourselves in a tight, linear body position. And make sure our body follows our hands, and our hands are going to the right place, okay? So as we go for this, use a nice crash mat, use something soft to land on before you just try chucking these things onto jiu-jitsu mats. They're pretty hard. So same hand positions, ready, set, launch, circle back, grab our knees, land almost in the same spot that we started, okay? Ready, set, launch. Get it. Go out there, guys. Try this. Make sure we have a partner. Try it. Only progress forward in this series as we feel safe, right? Don't push yourself. There's no point in injuring ourselves for jiu-jitsu while doing gymnastics. So take your time. Think about how this stuff relates to jiu-jitsu. There's a reason that gymnasts excel in jiu-jitsu. We have a great body control. We have a great way of knowing where we are in the air. We call it aerial awareness. And so all this stuff, even though it seems kind of far-fetched and not exactly on topic for jiu-jitsu, I can assure you all of it's relevant. So give it a try. As always, if you crash, get it on video, send me the video. That shit's hilarious. So make sure we are liking, subscribing, commenting, and we'll keep these videos coming. Thanks, guys.